Good evening, everybody. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you for all of our marching band staff, Chris Cooper, Kelly Backer, Vasilia Kadimova, Helen Conch. We really appreciate all of the work that you guys have done this year. And one of the things that we're very thankful for is the way that you guys are creating such a positive environment and a positive place for students to grow and learn. And we're so very lucky to have you, and we're so appreciative of you. So thank you guys very much. Doing this activity is much more fulfilling, this activity meaning band directing. All right, doing this activity is much more fulfilling when you get to work with a team of talented directors. So I'd like to thank my colleagues, Tony, Jen, Emily, and Jimmy. I'm so incredibly thankful to be able to work with you guys every day and really appreciate all of the things that we do together. So thank you guys very much for that. Last and certainly not least, I would like to take a minute to go and thank all of our parent volunteers throughout the year. I know that we talk a lot about, and the kids have already talked a lot about the kind of work that Brown and I do to get the marching show out in the field and the rehearsing and all that other stuff, but between the competitions and everything like that, we couldn't do it without all of you guys, all the parent volunteers that have taken the time to either drive trailers or provide food or get snacks or get uniforms together. And so we couldn't do any of the stuff that we're doing here without you guys. So thank you guys very much for that. I really enjoy this time, Band Banquet every year, because it does give us a time to kind of reflect and celebrate the times that we have together and celebrate our accomplishments. But I also feel like that it kind of allows us to just stop for a minute and just kind of be present and kind of do a lot of self-reflection. I feel like that I'm always in a constant state of self-reflection, like always. I find myself going online and finding inspirational quotes and inspirational stories. I become like enthralled with seeing people work to become the absolute best versions of themselves that they possibly can be. And so every time I do this, I always kind of take these little tidbits and these little stories and these little ideas, and I kind of put them and kind of store them away somewhere and kind of wait for an opportune time to share it with you guys, because I feel like that it's important that even though that we're sitting in rehearsal and sometimes we go through rehearsal, it's an hour and a half, and it's just go again and again and again and again. Sometimes we don't always have the time necessarily to stop and kind of address some of the things that we feel like that you as young people should know. Brown and I always say that we are teachers of young people, but that just so happen to also teach music. And so I would kind of like to share a story that I had read. And again, I can't really take credit for it, but I hope that the message kind of resonates with you. The story that I want to tell you is about an architect. And this architect, throughout his entire career, started by building houses and designing buildings. And through his tireless work, and through his tireless focus and his attention to detail and his dedication to his designs and his building, he became a world-class architect. He became world famous in the style that he did. He became world famous in the buildings that he ended up creating. After nearly 40 years of designing and building homes and skyscrapers, he began to realize that he was ready to move away from his career and retire. He planned on traveling the world, planned on spending more time with his grandkids, ended up in wanting to sit here and kind of hang it up after everything that he'd accomplished in his career. So one day the architect walks into his boss's office and says, "Boss, I think that it's time that I sit here and I retire." Okay? The boss sat here and said, okay, you can retire, but there's one thing that I want you to do. I want you to build one more house. I want you to build one more house. This is going to be the last and final house that you're going to build, but it's going to be for a very, very important client. And I want to make sure in this important client in this house, it's not going to have the same flair and the same attention to detail that you're going to bring. And so I would like for you to build one last house. And after taking the day to kind of think about it, conferring with his spouse, the architect begrudgingly agreed. Okay, but he was more frustrated than anything. Okay, the final to say that he was frustrated with his final request would be an understatement. Everything that the architect had planned to do to start his retirement either had to be postponed or canceled because of one house, because of one client. He put a smile on his face, told his boss that he would do it, and said that it was his very last one. And although he agreed to build the last house, his heart was no longer in it. This was the one thing standing between him and his retirement, and began to look at the house more and more as an obligation as opposed to an opportunity. And while in all the other houses that he had always built, he had his hand in just about every aspect of the house. The building process, the materials, everything with every other house that he had built, he gave his attention to detail. By the end of the time, though, he just wanted the house done. Okay, so he gave a lot of the responsibilities to other people. He delegated a lot of the work. And a lot of the stuff that he would normally oversee, he just didn't. He gave minimal attention to because he wanted to go and have his retirement. He was not necessarily thinking about the present moment. He was thinking about the future. And he knew that the house would not be reflecting his best work. 6 months had passed and he'd finally finished the house. And he went to the boss's office and let him know that he was finished. The architect did this favor for the boss, and the boss let him know that he was going to retire. The boss said thank you and had just one more thing for the architect. By this time, the architect was a little furious. How many more things do I have to do? I want to retire. He was convinced that the boss was going to make him build yet another house, but instead, the boss handed the architect a black box with a ribbon on it. And inside that box was the key to the house that he just built. A key to the front door of the final house that he had built. His boss was so thankful for his work and thankful for and to show his gratitude, he gifted him that house. The architect's heart immediately sank, and unbeknownst to him, the house that he was building for the last 6 months was his. And if he would have known that he was building it for himself, he would have cared much more and would have put way more effort into it than he did. He would have treated this process the way he treated the process of every other house that he had built for everyone else. I wanted to tell you this story because through the choices that you make, the goals that you create, and the hard work that you put in, you, me, all of us in this room are always building our own house. We are all extremely proud of you and the work that you have done so far this year. You have rose to the challenge that we have given you and worked very hard and continue to work hard to achieve excellence within yourself. All of this is what is only one brick in a house that you're going to be building for your entire lifetimes. We hope that with the time that you have with us, that we empower you to recognize the opportunities that you may find yourself lucky enough to experience, even when these opportunities may sometimes look like obligations at the time. And we hope that you trust the process of self-improvement and the path that is needed to get there, and to know that taking the easy path does not always reap the benefits for you in the future. We hope that you'll never shy away from a challenge or the hard work that is required to do the absolute best you can do at everything and anything that you do, no matter how insignificant or small a task might be. And we hope that as you do these things throughout your life, more bricks will be made, bricks that you will be able to use to continue building the house that you have started building here tonight. Thank you.